Have you ever paused to consider the incredible journey your morning coffee takes to reach your cup? Or, the global dance your smartphone participates in before it lands in your hand?
It's truly astonishing, isn't it?
It really is. How deeply intertwined our daily lives are with global commerce, even when we don't consciously think about it. This vast, intricate system, this fascinating global dance, well, that's what we call international business.
Precisely.
Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we plunge headfirst into a stack of diverse sources, articles, research, our own notes, and really try to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight for you.
That's the goal.
Today, our mission is to embark on a comprehensive deep dive into international business. We're going to try and cut through the complexity, highlight the most crucial insights, and hopefully equip you with a truly well-rounded understanding.
And importantly, I think, focus on those key facts and figures.
Exactly. We want to clarify the core concepts, yes, but also arm you with those specific facts, figures, dates, and full forms, the kind of stuff that's essential for making you genuinely well-informed.
Kind of details that might just pop up.
Right, the kind of details that empower you to understand the global economy with real precision. So, what exactly can you expect from this exploration? Well, we'll start by laying the foundation, defining what international business truly is, and examining its fundamental characteristics.
The absolute basics.
Then, we'll weigh its compelling benefits against the, undeniable challenges that come with going global.
Always a trade-off.
Always. We'll then break down the various strategic pathways companies choose to engage internationally, and crucially, we'll dive into the powerful international organizations that govern this intricate world.
Like the WTO, UNCTAD.
Exactly. The IMF, the World Bank, and all their fascinating affiliates.
That's a whole ecosystem.
It really is. And to truly understand the why behind it all, we'll wrap up by exploring the foundational economic theories that have shaped our understanding of global trade over centuries. I'll be your guide, trying to unpack these concepts with engaging connections and analogies, ensuring we illuminate every essential detail.
And I'll be here to connect the dots, provide the broader context, and really help you grasp not just the what, but the profound why it matters.
Why it matters for businesses, nations, and even your own daily life.
We really want you to think critically, maybe question some assumptions, and see the interconnected picture of how global commerce is constantly reshaping our world.
Okay, let's unpack this right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
What is international business? It might sound like a simple question, but there's a lot more packed into that definition than people often realize.
You're absolutely right. It's a much more comprehensive concept than just, simple cross-border trade. At its core, international business is defined as any commercial transactions that happen across country borders.
Across borders. Key phrase there.
Exactly. Imagine it as the dynamic exchange of goods and services that occurs between individuals and businesses located in different countries. But, and this is vital, it isn't limited to just buying and selling physical products.
Okay.
It also crucially includes the transfer of valuable assets like technology, specialized managerial knowledge, and capital to other countries.
So intangibles and money, too.
Precisely. This broad scope encompasses both imports, where goods and services come into a country, and exports, where they leave.
So it's truly a multi-layered interaction, far beyond just, putting a product on a ship.
Definitely.
To bring that to life, let's think about that smartphone in your pocket. Its journey likely began with raw materials, maybe minerals sourced from Africa,
Could be.
which were then processed in Asia. Components might have been manufactured in various European countries, assembled in a factory, perhaps in China, and then marketed and distributed globally, with the design and software development maybe originating in North America.
A truly global product.
Exactly. This is a vivid example of how deeply these cross-border transfers of goods, technology, and capital impact our daily consumption and illustrate the very essence of international business.
It really drives home the point.
That paints such a vivid picture of its scale and complexity. Given it's such a vast, intricate network, what are its defining characteristics? Our sources outline 8 crucial features that really capture the essence of international business.
Right, and these characteristics are foundational for anyone looking to truly understand this global system. These 8 features collectively describe the fundamental operational environment and dynamics, giving us a clear framework.
Okay, let's tick through them. What's the first one?
First, we observe large-scale operations. International businesses typically engage in production and marketing on an enormous scale. It's common practice for a company to first ensure its local market demand is met.
Satisfy the home base first.
Right. And only then does it look to export its surplus goods abroad. This massive scale is a fundamental aspect that underscores its economic impact globally.
Got it. Large scale. What's number 2?
Second, and quite significantly, is the integration of economies. International business doesn't just connect countries, it actively weaves their economies together.
Weaves them together. How so?
Well, a global venture might source its finance from one nation, its labor force from another, and its vital infrastructure from yet a third. This dynamic highlights the deep global interdependence that is inherently created by these cross-border activities.
Okay, that makes sense. Interdependence. Third.
Third, and this is a critical point about global power dynamics, is that international business is largely dominated by developed countries and multinational corporations, MNCs.
Ah, the big players.
Exactly. These developed nations often lead the charge, primarily because they possess superior technology, invest heavily in research and development, and have access to highly skilled employees and managers.
And they can pay for that talent, presumably.
Absolutely. Companies in these countries tend to offer very attractive salaries and benefits, enabling them to attract and retain top global talent.
Okay. Domination by developed nations and MNCs. Number 4.
Fourth, there are clear and substantial benefits to participating countries. While developed countries, given their dominant position, tend to reap the maximum benefits, developing nations also gain significantly.
How do they gain?
They acquire much-needed foreign capital, advanced technology, and critically, new employment opportunities are created within their borders, which can be transformative for their economies.
So it's not entirely a one-way street, even with the dominance.
Not entirely, no. There are benefits, even if unevenly distributed sometimes. Fifth, international business is characterized by keen competition.
Competition. Always a factor.
And it's intense on the world stage. The world market is an intensely competitive arena. Developed countries, with their advanced production capabilities, typically offer superior quality goods and services, often at very competitive lower prices.
Plus, they have the networks.
Right. They also benefit from extensive global contacts and established networks, which makes it extremely challenging for developing countries to compete effectively on a global scale.
Okay, keen competition. Number 6.
Sixth, we cannot overstate the special role of science and technology. High levels of scientific advancement and technological innovation are what enabled that large-scale, efficient production we talked about.
Back to the tech advantage.
Exactly. As we noted, developed countries are at the forefront of this, leveraging high technologies to maintain their dominance in global business.
Right. Number 7.
Seventh, unlike purely domestic trade, international business operates under various international restrictions.
Ah, the hurdles. Like what?
These can include things like trade blocks, regional agreements, tariff barriers, which are essentially taxes on imported goods, and foreign exchange restrictions that regulate the inflow and outflow of capital, technology, and goods. These are significant hurdles to navigate.
Okay, restrictions. And the last one, number 8.
And finally, eighth is its sensitive nature. International business is highly susceptible to external factors.
Sensitive. How so?
Well, any shifts in economic policies, rapid technological advancements, or sudden changes in the political environment of a country can have an immediate and profound impact on international operations, affecting profitability and viability. Things can change very quickly.
Wow. What's truly fascinating here is how these 8 features collectively paint such a complete and nuanced picture. You go from the sheer massive scale right down to these subtle sensitivities that can truly make or break a global venture.
It's a complex and dynamic landscape, absolutely.
And understanding each of these characteristics is essential for grasping the intricacies involved.
So, beyond simply defining international business, the natural question arises: why do businesses and nations even choose to engage in this complex global dance?
Right, what's the motivation?
Well, connecting this to the bigger picture, our sources outline 7 compelling benefits, some of which are very tangible and directly impact a company's bottom line or a nation's prosperity.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for businesses and economies alike. Let's delve into what's in it for everyone when they decide to go global. First up, our sources highlight survival as a powerful motivator.
Survival? That sounds dramatic.
It can be. Consider this example from the source. Without access to foreign markets, many European firms, for instance, might struggle to achieve the necessary economies of scale to compete effectively against larger, more established U.S. firms.
Ah, so scale is key for competitiveness.
Exactly. This suggests that for some, international expansion isn't merely about growth. It's a strategic imperative for long-term competitiveness and even continued existence.
That's a crucial point about scale. Second, there's the clear benefit of tapping into the growth of overseas markets.
Looking for new customers?
Precisely. Our sources specifically point out that regions like Latin America and Asia Pacific are experiencing the strongest economic growth today. For companies seeking significant expansion, these are the dynamic regions ripe with the most promising opportunities.
Makes sense to go where the growth is. And naturally, where there's growth, there's often an increase in sales and profit, which is our third benefit.
The bottom line.
Right. In international business, sales can come from various avenues. Direct export sales, import sales where you bring foreign goods into your market, and even global account management for multinational clients.
And profit isn't just one number, is it?
Good point. When we talk about profit, it's helpful to distinguish a few types for precision. You've got gross profit, that's simply your revenue minus the cost of the goods you sold.
Okay.
Then you have operating profit, which is your gross profit once you subtract your operating expenses. Things like rent, salaries, marketing.
The costs of doing business.
Exactly. And finally, net profit, that's your operating profit after accounting for taxes, interest, and any other non-operating expenses. Getting these definitions straight is really useful for understanding a company's performance in a global context.
Definitely good terms to know. Moving to the fourth benefit, diversification is a significant strategic advantage.
Spreading the risk.
Precisely. International diversification is a powerful risk management technique designed to reduce volatility by spreading a company's risk across multiple geographical regions.
So if one market tanks,
Exactly. If one market experiences an economic downturn, a company with operations in several different countries can potentially offset those losses with gains in healthier markets elsewhere, providing a more stable overall performance.
it makes perfect sense for mitigating risk. Fifth, we have an intriguing economic dynamic: inflation and price moderation.
How does that work?
Well, the sources explain that when inflation rises in one country, it can actually lead to a degeneration, a weakening in that currency's value.
Okay.
This, in turn, can make that country's exports cheaper for foreign investors or buyers. So this phenomenon can positively impact the global export market as foreign buyers find those goods more affordable.
But there's a catch, right?
There is. It's important to note that the value of those exports might decrease for the exporting country itself because their currency is worth less. It's a nuanced interplay of currency value and purchasing power.
Interesting dynamic. Sixth, international business contributes significantly to employment.
Creating jobs.
Yes, beyond just creating direct job opportunities within global companies, international trade fosters employment throughout complex global supply chains, logistics, components, services, and so on.
And there's a cultural aspect too.
Definitely. Working in an international environment inherently improves cross-cultural understanding. Collaborating with people from diverse backgrounds can significantly enhance communication skills and foster a stronger, more adaptable company culture through a diverse workforce.
Good point. And finally, the seventh benefit.
A direct improvement in a nation's standard of living. International business helps raise a nation's standard of living by allowing its citizens to consume a wider array of goods and services produced in other countries, products that might not be available or efficiently produced domestically.
More choice, potentially better prices.
Right. And the overall economic activity generated by this global engagement naturally leads to an increase in a nation's wealth and quality of life. These benefits clearly show why countries and companies are so eager to engage globally. Understanding the why leads us directly to the how. The scope of international business is incredibly broad, touching various aspects of global interaction. It's not just one thing, it's a whole spectrum of interconnected activities.
Exactly. It's far more than just trade. It's about building relationships, understanding different cultures, making strategic investments. Let's explore these 6 key areas that really define the expansive scope of international business. First, and perhaps the most direct, is international trade itself.
Buying and selling goods.
Yes, the direct exchange of goods and services between countries. But our sources also clarify that this extends to the exchange of intellectual property, like patents and copyrights and various purchase agreements. So it's not solely about physical items crossing borders.
Right. Second, we have international negotiations.
Diplomacy in business.
In a way, yes. When countries engage in business, it often necessitates negotiations. These discussions are crucial for improving relations among all related parties and for resolving any disputes that naturally arise from complex cross-border transactions. This diplomatic aspect is critical for maintaining stability and trust.
Okay. Third is cross-cultural management.
Managing diversity.
Yeah, because international business operates across diverse populations and markets, companies must develop effective strategies to manage people from different cultures. This is a huge component of global operations, and mastering it directly helps in improving communication and fostering collaboration.
Vitally important. Fourth, there's global marketing.
Selling to the world.
Right. A company can extend its reach beyond its domestic customer base to target customers in markets around the world. But this requires careful consideration and often significant adjustment of their marketing strategies to align with local cultural needs, preferences, and regulatory environments. You can't just use the same ad everywhere.
Definitely not. Okay, fifth, a very significant aspect, foreign direct investment, FDI.
Putting money directly into another country.
Exactly. Through international business, companies from one country strategically invest in others. This can happen in two primary ways, either through greenfield investment,
Starting from scratch.
right, starting a completely new operation or facility from scratch in a foreign country, or by purchasing or acquiring an existing company that already has an established presence and consumer base in that foreign market.
Buying versus building.
Pretty much. And FDI is absolutely vital for starting a new business venture abroad and ensuring its long-term expansion globally.
And finally, sixth, we have the exchange of foreign currency.
Forex.
Exactly. This is a fundamental operational necessity that underpins all international transactions. As goods and services are imported and exported, countries must exchange their respective currencies to settle these transactions.
Can't pay for German cars with Japanese yen directly usually?
Typically not. This process not only facilitates trade directly, but also plays a significant role in improving a country's foreign exchange reserves, contributing to its overall financial health.
So it sounds like a world full of incredible opportunity, with all these different facets touching on trade, diplomacy, finance. But as with anything so vast and intricate, it doesn't come without its hurdles.
Oh, definitely not.
Our sources also highlight a number of significant problems that businesses commonly encounter when engaging internationally.
Indeed, these are the speed bumps or potential roadblocks in the path of global commerce. Recognizing them is the essential first step to navigating them effectively. Our sources list 7 key challenges.
Okay, let's hear the downsides. What's first?
First, political factors. Instability in a foreign country, sudden shifts in government policies, changes in trade agreements, or even civil unrest can severely disrupt international business operations. It introduces significant uncertainty.
Politics always matters. Second.
Second, there are often high foreign investments and high costs associated with global expansion. The sheer capital required to establish and maintain international operations can be substantial. It's a big barrier to entry for many firms.
Need deep pockets. Third.
Third, exchange instability. We touched on currency fluctuations before. These can unpredictably impact a company's profits, the cost of raw materials, the pricing of goods. It creates a high level of financial risk, requires sophisticated hedging sometimes.
Currency risk, got it.
Fourth, companies often face complex entry requirements. Navigating intricate regulatory frameworks, obtaining numerous official approvals, permits, adhering to specific legal procedures in each country. It can be incredibly time-consuming and costly.
Red tape.
Lots of it, potentially. Fifth, governments can impose various tariffs, quotas, etc. These are trade barriers, taxes on imports, limits on quantities. They can significantly increase costs and restrict market access.
Government intervention.
Sixth, businesses unfortunately often have to contend with corruption and bureaucracy. Administrative hurdles, excessive red tape, and ethical challenges like bribery can complicate operations, increase transaction costs, and pose significant reputational risks in certain regions.
That's a tough one.
And seventh, differing technological policy. Countries can have varied regulations regarding technology transfer, data privacy, IP protection, even access to certain technologies. These differences can create significant difficulties for globally integrated operations, requires careful compliance.
So, yeah, definitely not all smooth sailing. Political risk, high costs, currency fluctuations, red tape, trade barriers, corruption, tech policies. lots to navigate.
Absolutely. It requires careful strategic planning, adaptability, and a deep understanding of the local environment to succeed internationally.
So, if a company has weighed the pros and cons, navigated the potential problems, and decided to take the plunge into international markets, how do they actually go about it? What are the options?
Well, our sources list 8 distinct forms of international business, each with its own unique advantages, level of commitment, and risk profile. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay, 8 ways to go global. Let's break them down. What's the first one?
First, we have exporting. This is perhaps the most straightforward and common way to start. It simply means producing or procuring goods in the home market and then selling them directly in a foreign market.
It's like the simplest entry point.
It often is. It's a relatively low-risk entry strategy, and our sources specifically note that even small firms can effectively make money by exporting. Makes it accessible.
Good to know. Second,
Second is licensing. A licensing agreement is a formal arrangement where a company, the licensor, grants specific rights to their intangible property to another entity, the licensee, for a defined period.
intangible property, like what exactly?
Good question. This can include a wide range of assets, things like patents, inventions, specialized formulas, designs, copyrights, and trademarks, basically intellectual assets.
Okay, and what does the licensor get in return?
In return, the licensor receives a royalty, which is typically a fee or a percentage of the licensee's sales. Understanding these categories of intangible property and the concept of royalty is key here. This is a great detail for, quick recall.
Got it. Licensing and royalties. Now, closely related but different is number 3, franchising.
Right. Franchising is a business model where a franchisor licenses a franchisee to use not just their brand, but also their entire operating methods and establish business systems to market products or services.
So it's more comprehensive than just licensing a patent.
Much more. A classic example our sources provide is McDonald's. Everyone knows how McDonald's operates its fast food restaurants around the world through this extensive franchising system.
Right, you get the brand, the menu, the procedures, the whole package.
Exactly. The key difference from simple licensing is that franchising typically involves a much more comprehensive business system, ongoing operational support, and stricter brand standards to maintain consistency.
Okay, clear difference. 4th way to go global.
Fourth is a joint venture. This entails establishing an entirely new firm that is jointly owned by 2 or more independent companies.
Teaming up.
Essentially, yes. It's a common strategy for sharing resources, pooling expertise, mitigating risks, and it's often used when entering markets that are complex, highly regulated, or require significant local knowledge and connections.
Makes sense to partner up sometimes. 5th.
Fifth, we have turnkey projects. In a turnkey project, a contractor agrees to handle every single detail of a foreign client's project.
Every detail.
Pretty much everything. From the initial design and construction right up to and including the training of the operating personnel. Upon completion, the foreign client is literally handed the key to a plant or facility that is fully built and ready for immediate full operation.
Like building a whole factory for someone else.
Exactly. It's a complete ready-to-go solution, often used for large industrial plants, power stations, refineries, that sort of thing.
Okay, turnkey. 6th.
Sixth are management contracts. Here, a firm in one country agrees to operate facilities or provide other specialized management services, like overseeing a hotel, an airline, or a factory, to a firm in another country for an agreed-upon fee.
So you run their business for them.
You provide the management expertise, yes. This is often seen when a company possesses specialized skills in managing certain complex operations, but doesn't necessarily want to own the underlying assets themselves.
Interesting. 7th form.
Our seventh form is a strategic international alliance. This is a cooperative business relationship established by 2 or more independent companies who agree to work together out of mutual need and to share risk in achieving a common objective.
How is this different from a joint venture?
It's generally less formal and doesn't typically involve creating a whole new separate legal entity like a JV does. It's a more flexible way to collaborate on specific projects, maybe research and development or market entry, without the full commitment of a joint venture or merger.
Okay, a looser partnership. And the final one, number 8.
And finally, eighth is direct foreign investment, DFI, which is closely related to FDI we mentioned earlier, but here focusing on the act of investing directly.
Right, putting serious money down.
Exactly. This involves companies manufacturing locally in a foreign country, representing a deep level of commitment and investment. They might choose DFI for several strategic reasons, maybe to capitalize on low-cost labor.
Or avoid tariffs.
Precisely. or avoid high import taxes, reduce high transportation costs, gain direct access to raw materials, or simply to ensure a more direct and stronger market entry and local presence. This form demonstrates a profound long-term commitment to a foreign market.
So 8 distinct paths: exporting, licensing, franchising, joint ventures, turnkey projects, management contracts, strategic alliances, and direct foreign investment.
Lots of options depending on the goal and resources.
A whole strategic toolkit for going global.
With all this dynamic global trade and these complex forms of engagement, you absolutely need a consistent set of rules to govern it all, right? Otherwise, it'd be chaos, complete chaos. You definitely need a referee and a rule book.
And that's precisely where the World Trade Organization, or WTO, comes in. This is a big one in international business, with many key facts that are really essential for understanding its structure and profound impact.
Absolutely. The WTO is the central global organization that manages the rules of trade between nations. Its main goal, as our sources clearly highlight, is to promote trade for the benefit of all participating countries and ultimately to improve the lives of people around the world by fostering economic stability and growth.
A cornerstone of the system.
Without a doubt. Let's delve into its key facts and structure, which are often points of interest, especially for remembering specifics.
Okay, lay them on us. When was it born?
The WTO was formally established on January 1st, 1995. That specific date, January 1st, 1995, is a pivotal moment to mark on your timeline.
Got it. 1995. Who's in charge?
The Ministerial Conference, MC, stands as the highest decision-making body within the WTO. It acts as the ultimate executive authority and is directly responsible for carrying out all the core functions of the organization. They usually meet every 2 years.
Okay, the Ministerial Conference is top dog. What's underneath?
Beneath the Ministerial Conference, we have the General Council, GC, which effectively serves as the day-to-day management body, handling WTO affairs in the periods between ministerial conferences. It meets regularly in Geneva.
And the General Council has helpers.
It does. The General Council oversees 3 crucial functional councils. These are the Council for Trade and Services, the Council for Trade and Goods, and the Council for Trade-Related Aspects of Intellectual Property Rights, which is widely known by its abbreviation TIPs.
Goods, Services, and IP, TRPs. Got it. Those 3 councils are important to remember.
Definitely. And there's also the Director General of the WTO who heads the Secretariat. Their responsibility includes preparing the budgets and managing the financial statements of the organization.
So it's a very structured and powerful organization designed to bring order to global trade. Beyond just managing rules, what are its core objectives? Why was it created back in 95?
Good question. Our sources outline 4 main objectives that drive the WTO's work. First, it aims to raise standards of living and ensure full employment across its member countries.
Noble goals.
Indeed. Second, it strives to allow for the optimal use of the world's resources in accordance with the objective of sustainable development, explicitly seeking both to protect and preserve the environment.
Sustainability and environment, key modern concerns.
Very much so. Third, it is committed to making positive efforts designed to ensure that developing countries, especially the least developed among them, benefit meaningfully from the global trading system.
Trying to level the playing field a bit.
That's the aim. And fourth, it works to achieve these objectives by encouraging member countries to enter into reciprocal and mutually advantageous arrangements directed towards the substantial reduction of tariffs and other barriers to international trade.
Lowering trade walls.
Okay.
And its functions. What does it actually do day to day?
It serves 3 primary roles. First, it facilitates the implementation, administration, and ongoing operation of the various trade agreements under its umbrella.
Making sure the deals work.
Right. Second, it provides the essential framework for the implementation, administration, and operation of what are called plurilateral trade agreements. These are agreements among a smaller group of members on specific issues, not involving all WTO members.
Okay, handling different types of agreements.
And third, crucially, it provides a vital forum for continuous negotiations among its members concerning their multilateral trade relations. It's where countries come to talk and hammer out new trade deals.
The negotiating table. Got it. Now, before the WTO, there was GATT. And understanding the crucial distinction between these two is absolutely key. It clears up a lot of confusion.
This is indeed a frequently discussed point because while they are related, they are fundamentally distinct entities. It's really important to get the differences straight. Let's break them down.
Yeah, GATT first.
Starting with GATT, which stands for the General Agreement on Trade and Tariff. As its name suggests, it was primarily an agreement, not a formal international organization like the WTO.
Just an agreement. When was it set up?
It was established much earlier, on January 1st, 1948. That's another key date, 1948, for Getty.
And how effective was it?
Well, Getty was characterized by a relatively weak and slow dispute settlement mechanism. Resolving trade conflicts could be quite challenging and drawn out.
Okay. How many countries started it?
It was initially signed by just 23 countries. That number, 23, is worth remembering for Getty's origins.
And its status. Was it meant to be permanent?
No, Getty was explicitly provisional in nature. It was seen as a temporary arrangement, hoping a full international trade organization would follow, which didn't happen initially.
So temporary. How did it operate?
It largely functioned as a forum where member countries met intermittently, often only once in a decade through negotiating rounds, to discuss and try to solve world trade problems. And crucially, its rules applied only to trade in goods. Services and IP weren't really covered.
Okay, so Getty, 1948. Agreement, weak disputes, 23 countries, provisional, goods only, met rarely. Now, contrast that with the WTO.
Right. When we look at the WTO, established 1995, it is a full-fledged organization with a permanent structure. Its scope is much broader, concerned with goods, services, and intellectual property.
Much wider scope. How about disputes?
A major improvement. It boasts a strong dispute settlement mechanism that is legally binding and generally more efficient than Getty's.
And its structure.
The WTO features a large secretariat and a vast organizational setup, reflecting its permanent and binding nature on all its members. It possesses clear legal status, which AT lacked.
Permanent and legally binding.
Exactly. This contrast highlights a massive leap in global governance. We moved from a temporary agreement focused solely on goods to a permanent, comprehensive organization with a much wider reach and stronger enforcement capabilities.
That's a huge shift. It really underscores the growing complexity and formalization of international trade over those decades.
Absolutely. Building on that, the TRIPS agreement, or Trade-Related Intellectual Property Rights, which operates under the WTO umbrella, is absolutely vital for protecting innovation and creativity across borders.
Right, we mentioned TRIPS as one of the WTO councils.
Yes, and the agreement itself covers 7 distinct categories of intellectual property. That number 7 is an important detail to keep in mind.
7 categories.
Right.
This impacts everything from the software on your computer to luxury brands, even the geographical origin of, say, Darjeeling tea or Colombian coffee. Let's get into the specifics of these 7 categories and their protections. These seem like perfect details for quick recall.
Indeed, each category has specific protections and durations that are important to note.
Okay, category 1.
First, we have copyright and related rights. Our sources clarify that computer programs are explicitly included as literary works under this category. Authors of computer programs and broadcasting organizations get the right to authorize or prohibit commercial rental of their works.
And how long does protection last?
The protection for these rights is notably extended for a period of 50 years. That specific duration, 50 years for copyright under TRIPS, is a key detail.
50 years. Got it. Second category.
Second are trademarks. According to Article 16 of the TRIPS agreement, a crucial reference point, the trademark owner has the exclusive right to restrict third parties from using similar or identical signs for products or services that are similar to those for which the trademark is registered.
So Article 16 protects brand identity.
Essentially, yes. That article number is worth noting. Third, we have geographical indications, GI.
Like champagne or Parmesan.
Exactly. A GI identifies a product as originating from a specific geographical place and possessing qualities or reputation due to that origin. Article 22 and Article 23 of TRIPS provide a higher, enhanced level of protection specifically for wines and spirits.
Articles 22 and 23 for GIs, especially wine and spirits. Good detail. Fourth category.
Fourth are industrial designs. These designs relate to the aesthetic appearance of a product, how it looks. They are protected for a period of 10 years.
10 years for design protection.
Right. Owners can prevent others from making, selling, or importing copies of their design without consent. That 10-year period is definite detail to remember.
Okay. Fifth category.
Fifth, patents. Patents shall be available for any inventions, whether they are products or processes, across virtually all fields of technology. A patent owner has significant rights, including assigning, transferring, and licensing the patent.
And the protection period for patents.
The agreement specifically requires a 20-year protection period for patents from the filing date. 20 years for patents.
20 years. Got it. Sixth.
Sixth, integrated circuits. The TRIPS agreement provides protection to the layout designs of integrated circuits, the blueprints for chips, essentially for a period of 10 years.
10 years for chip designs. Is there anything else?
Yes, there's an important second time frame here. This 10-year protection shall lapse 15 years after the creation of the layout design, even if it wasn't used immediately. So, two numbers. 10 years of protection, lapsing 15 years after creation.
Okay, 10 and 15 for integrated circuits. And the seventh category.
And seventh, trade secrets. Think formulas like Coca-Cola's or confidential client lists. The agreement acknowledges that countries need time to adjust their laws. It requires a 1-year transition period for developed countries to conform. Developing countries got 5 years. And the least developed countries, LDCs, were granted an even longer 11-year transition period.
1, 5, and 11 years for trade secret implementation based on development level. That's very specific.
Very specific and important for understanding how these global rules roll out.
And while we're talking important terms and specific details, our sources also gave us a couple of crucial abbreviations frequently seen in trade policy discussions. Knowing their full forms is essential.
Indeed, these are important terms to clarify. First, NANME. That stands for non-agricultural market access.
Non-agricultural market access, so industrial goods.
Exactly. It refers to trade negotiations concerning industrial and non-agricultural products. And second, MFN. That stands for most favored nation.
Most favored nation. What does that mean in practice?
It's a core principle in international trade. It means that if a country grants a trade advantage, like a lower tariff to one WTO member, it must, under normal circumstances, grant that same advantage to all other WTO members. It ensures non-discrimination.
Okay, MMA and MFN. Good abbreviations to know. Shifting our focus now to another critical international body, one that plays a particularly vital role in supporting developing nations. Let's look at UNCTAD. Again, we have a lot of specific details here, dates, names, locations that are great for building a solid understanding and remembering those important facts.
Yes, UNCTAD. That stands for the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. It's a permanent intergovernmental body specifically created to help developing countries integrate more effectively into the global economy.
Helping developing countries join the global economy. What are its main goals?
Its core goals are clearly defined: supporting developing countries in their development efforts, promoting global partnerships for development, and ensuring that the gains from development are achieved and shared equitably.
Okay. When was it established?
UNCTAD was established back in 1964 by the United Nations General Assembly, so it predates the WTO quite significantly.
1964. And where is it based?
Its headquarters are centrally located in Geneva, Switzerland, with additional liaison offices in New York and Addis Ababa. Geneva is the main hub.
Geneva, 1964. Got it. How is it organized internally?
As for its organization, UNCTAD has a permanent organ known as the Trade and Development Board. This serves as its main executive body.
The Trade and Development Board, how often does it meet?
It meets twice annually to guide the organization's work. And to assist in its functions, the Trade and Development Board has 4 dedicated subsidiary organs or committees.
4 committees under the board. What are they?
They are the Committee on Commodities, the Committee on Manufacturers, the Committee on Shipping, and the Committee on Invisible Items and Financing related to trade.
Commodities, manufacturers, shipping, and invisibles finance. Good list to know. Do they meet often?
These committees meet annually and can also be called into special sessions for urgent matters. Knowing these committees helps understand UNCTAD's operational breadth.
That's a clear structure dedicated to supporting development. But beyond its structure, what exactly does UNCTAD do? What are its core functions?
Our sources list several diverse and crucial roles. Firstly, it actively promotes international trade, especially fostering connections between developed and developing countries.
Facilitating trade links.
Yes. Secondly, it plays a significant role in policy development, formulating policies and principles for international trade and economic development tailored to the needs of its member states.
Developing policy ideas.
Exactly. Thirdly, UNCTAD assists in negotiating trade agreements, often acting as a neutral facilitator or providing technical support. Fourthly, it coordinates the activities of other UN institutions related to international trade to ensure a cohesive approach.
Negotiation support and coordination. What else?
Furthermore, it excels in data collection and conducts extensive research and analysis on trade and development issues. This notably culminates in its annual publication of the Review of Maritime Transport, a key resource for the global shipping industry.
Data, research, and that shipping review. Okay. Does it operate on specific principles?
It does. UNCTAD operates on four basic principles designed to promote equitable global trade. These include ensuring non-discrimination in economic relations, actively promoting greater market access for products from less developed countries, LDCs, and diligently working for the reduction of both tariff and non-tariff restrictions on trade.
Promoting fairness and access for LDCs. Let's look at its history a bit. The first conference.
Right. The very first United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, known as UNCTAD, was held where it's headquartered in Geneva in 1964.
Geneva, 1964. What were they trying to achieve back then?
Its primary goals included adopting a new international division of labor that would be more favorable to developing countries and making the external sector more conducive to their growth. It also recommended that developed nations progressively reduce barriers on exports from developing nations.
Ambitious goals from the start. And what about UNCTAD's more concrete achievements over the years?
UNCTAD has several notable achievements across critical areas for developing nations. For trade and primary commodities, often the economic backbone for many least developed countries.
Like which ones?
Our sources mention examples like Bangladesh and Afghanistan, countries frequently facing severe handicaps. LDCs pushed, starting around UNCTAD II in 1968, for international commodity agreements, ICAs, to stabilize prices.
Right, because commodity prices can swing wildly.
Exactly. And notably, at UNCTAD IV in 1976, another key date and conference, it was proposed to have an integrated program for commodities, IPC, and to create a common fund for buffer stock financing to achieve this vital stability.
UNCTAD IV, 1976 IPC, Common Fund. Lots of specifics there. What about manufactured goods?
For trade in manufactured goods, UNCTAD was instrumental in advocating for and establishing the Generalized System of Preferences, GSP.
GSP, what does that do?
Under the GSP, most manufactured and semi-manufactured goods originating from LDCs enjoy tariff reductions or even full exemptions from custom duties when imported into developed countries. It gives their industrial exports a helping hand.
GSP, Generalized System of Preferences. Good one to know. What else?
In the realm of development finance, UNCTAD has continuously tried to reduce the often crushing debt burden of developing countries, trying to persuade developed countries to write off parts of these debts. For technology transfer, measures were adopted to strengthen LDC's technology capability, better research, training, local tech centers.
Debt relief and tech transfer.
Yes, and in economic cooperation, UNCTAD II, held at Delhi in 1968, notably emphasized for the first time the critical need for promoting international cooperation and fostering self-reliance among LDCs.
UNCTAD ticket in Delhi, 1968. Focused on cooperation.
Okay. Now, you mentioned international commodity agreements, ICAs, earlier. What forms do these agreements typically take?
Right. ICAs are formal agreements, usually between governments, aiming to regulate the trade of a specific commodity like coffee, sugar, tin, etc. Their goal is to stabilize prices, ensure reliable supplies, and facilitate trade for mutual benefit. They generally come in three main forms.
Three forms of ICA. What's the first?
First, quota agreements. These agreements seek to prevent a fall in commodity prices by carefully regulating their supply. Governments agree to restrict the amount of goods that can be imported or exported.
Controlling supply to prop up prices. Any examples?
An example from our sources is the historical coffee agreement among major producers in Latin America and Africa, which used quotas to manage global coffee supply.
Okay, quota agreements like the coffee one. Second type.
Second are buffer stock agreements. These aim to stabilize prices by actively maintaining a balance between demand and supply using a physical stockpile of the commodity.
How does the stockpile work? When prices are low due to excess supply, the entity managing the buffer stock buys the commodity to support the market. Conversely, when prices are high due to scarcity, it sells from the stockpile to moderate prices and ensure supply. Buy low, sell high, basically.
Buffer stocks to smooth out prices. Got it. And the third form?
Third, we have bilateral or multilateral contracts. A bilateral contract is just between two countries, while multilateral involves more than two. These agreements are usually concluded directly between major suppliers and major importers.
Like a long-term deal.
Exactly. They guarantee quantities and prices for a set period. Our sources give wheat agreements as a prime example of this form, where major wheat exporters and importers lock in terms.
Okay, so the three forms of ICA are quotas, buffer stocks, and bilateral multilateral contracts, with examples like coffee and wheat. Useful distinctions.
Very useful for understanding how commodity markets have been managed historically.
Okay, Let's dive into the intricate world of global finance now, starting with the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. This is an organization many people hear about, especially during crises, but its distinct role might not be fully clear.
That's very true. The IMF formally came into existence in December 1945. That date is key, December 1945, part of the post-World War II Bretton Woods system.
And what's its primary job? How's it different from, say, the World Bank?
Its primary role is distinct. It's focused on promoting long-term international monetary cooperation and financial stability. It does this mainly by providing financing for balance of payment support and bolstering international reserves.
Balance of payment support. Can you simplify that?
Sure. Think of a country's overall financial transactions with the rest of the world: imports, exports, investments. If a country is consistently spending more foreign currency than it's earning, it runs into balance of payments problems. The IMF provides loans to help bridge that gap, but usually conditional on the country taking policy actions to fix the underlying issues.
So it's about macroeconomic stability, not funding specific projects like roads or dams.
Exactly. That project funding is more the World Bank's territory. The IMF guides countries to address economic difficulties like high inflation, unsustainable debt, currency crises by implementing necessary policy actions, aiming for overall economic stability.
Okay, stability focus. How does the IMF make its crucial decisions, and where does its funding come from?
Decision-making power ultimately rests with the Board of Governors, where all member countries are represented, typically by their finance minister or central bank governor. This board decides major policy issues and meets twice yearly in a key committee called the International Monetary and Financial Committee.
The IMFC.
Right. There's also a joint committee with the World Bank, the Development Committee, addressing broader development issues.
And the day-to-day management.
That's overseen by the Executive Board. It consists of 24 executive directors, with the managing director serving as chairman. They usually meet 3 times a week.
24 executive directors. Are they all equal?
Not quite in terms of appointment. The 5 largest shareholders, specifically the US, Japan, Germany, France, and the UK, each appoint 1 executive director. Remember those 5 countries. US, Japan, Germany, France, UK.
The big 5 appoint their own. What about the other 19?
The other 19 executive directors are elected for 2-year terms by groups of countries known as constituencies.
And the head honcho, the managing director.
The managing director, who leads the IMF staff, is selected by the executive board for a renewable 5-year term. It's important to note that IMF employees are international civil servants, responsible solely to the IMF, not their home countries.
Okay, and the money, where does it come from?
The IMF relies primarily on contributions from its members, known as quotas, which are based roughly on a country's size in the world economy. But it also has supplementary borrowing arrangements. Yep. Key among these are the General Arrangements to Borrow, GAB, which was set up way back in 1962 with 11 participants. Later, the New Arrangements to Borrow, NAB, was introduced in 1997 with a larger group of 25 participant countries and institutions. Those dates and participant numbers: G 1962 with 11, NAB 1997 with 25, are good specifics.
EAB 62, May Day 97. Got it. Anything else fund related?
Yes, a critical element is the special drawing right, SDR. This is an international reserve asset created by the IMF to supplement members' official reserves. It's sometimes colloquially known as paper gold.
Paper gold. Interesting nickname for the SDR.
It is. And we also have key groups influencing global economic discussions that impact the IMF, like the G7, which is the group of 7 major industrial countries, and APEC, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum. Knowing those full forms, G7 and APEC, is useful.
G7, APEC.
Sure.
So once the IMF has these funds and structures, how does it actually lend money? Our sources break down its financing into different types and specific facilities.
Yes, these facilities are tailored to address various kinds of economic problems, from short-term shocks to deep-seated structural issues. The IMF's financing is provided through 3 main types of lending policies.
Okay, type 1.
First, standby arrangements, SBAs. These are primarily designed to deal with short-term balance of payments problems, typically provided over a period of 12 to 18 months. Think of them as a financial safety net for immediate needs.
12, 18 months for short-term issues. Type 2.
Second, we have medium-term extended arrangements provided under the Extended Fund Facility, EFF. These are intended for countries experiencing balance of payments difficulties stemming from more structural problems in their economy. Because structural change takes time, these are typically provided over a longer period of 3 to 4 years.
3 to 4 years for deeper structural problems via EFF. And type 3.
Third, focusing on support for the most vulnerable, we have the Poverty Reduction and Growth Facility, PRGF. This concessional facility notably replaced the previous Enhanced Structural Adjustment Facility, ESF.
PRGF replaced ESF. Important detail. What's its goal?
Its specific aim is to make poverty reduction and economic growth central goals for the poorest countries facing protracted or long-term balance of payments problems. It offers low-interest financing to support sustainable development.
Okay, those are the three main types. Our sources also highlighted 5 selected facilities. Can we quickly run through those, maybe focusing on their duration or purpose?
Sure. These often fall under the main types but have specific names and nuances. 1. Standby arrangements, SBA. Again, 12-18 months for short-term BP issues. 2. Extended fund facility, EFF. 3 to 4 years for serious structural BOBACI weaknesses. 3. Poverty reduction and growth facility, PRGF. Low interest, long-term support for the poorest, targeting poverty reduction. 4. Supplementary reserve facility, SRF. This provides additional short-term financing for countries hit by a sudden loss of market confidence, often causing rapid capital outflows, think financial crises. 5. And finally, emergency assistance. This is specifically for problems arising from sudden, unforeseeable natural disasters, offering rapid financial relief.
Okay, so SBA, 12-18 meters, EFF, 3-4Y, PRGF, porous long-term, SRF, crisis short-term, emergency assistance, disasters. Understanding those durations and purposes is key.
Absolutely. It shows the IMF's diverse lending toolkit.
Now, closely associated with the IMF is the World Bank, but as you said, they have distinct functions. What's the World Bank's core mission?
The World Bank's mission is fundamentally focused on long-term economic development and poverty reduction. It does this primarily by financing various specific projects in developing countries, particularly in economically backward regions.
Projects like?
Infrastructure is a big one. Building dams, constructing roads, developing communication systems, improving sanitation, funding education and health projects, essential elements that underpin a nation's long-term growth.
So very different from the IMF's stability focus.
Generally, yes, although the line can blur sometimes. The bank has also, in recent years, provided quicker loans, sometimes called adjustment loans, to help countries deal with balance of payment problems, often tied to policy reforms. But its core mandate remains long-term development projects and poverty reduction.
Okay. How is the World Bank structured? Membership.
Membership is straightforward. All members of the IMF are also automatically members of the World Bank. Shows their linked origins.
And the structure?
Yeah.
Similar to the IMF.
Yes, very similar. A 3-tier structure. The Board of Governors, Executive Directors, and a President.
The Board of Governors, same role as at the IMF.
Pretty much. Holds full authority, ultimate control. Each member country appoints a governor, usually finance minister or central bank governor, for a 5-year term. They meet annually.
5-year term for governors.
Yeah?
And the executive directors.
Again, 24 executive directors supervising daily operations. And just like the IMF, 5 are appointed by the largest shareholders: the USA, UK, Germany, France, and Japan. Same 5 countries.
US, UK, Germany, France, Japan appoint 5 EDs. The other 19?
Elected by the other member countries. They meet monthly, typically, and they are responsible for electing the president of the bank.
And the president.
The president is assisted by senior vice presidents and directors. Interestingly, like the IMF managing director, the World Bank president has no voting rights on the executive board. Their role is leadership and administration.
Okay. The World Bank, like the IMF, offers specific financial facilities. Can you outline the key ones mentioned in our sources?
Certainly. These are often focused on supporting policy reforms alongside development goals. 1. The Structural Adjustment Facility, SAF. This was introduced back in 1985. Its primary aim was to help countries reduce their balance of payments deficit while maintaining growth through policy reforms. That 1985 date is key. 2. The Enhanced Structural Adjustment Facility, ESF. This was established just 2 years later, in 1987. This facility aimed to increase concessional resources, those softer loans, specifically for low-income countries undertaking structural adjustment. Remember 1987 for ES? And recall, PRGF replaced ESF at the IMF. 3. And the Special Action Program, SAP. This was started earlier, in 1983. This program was designed to strengthen the main lending arm of the World Bank, the IBRD, its ability to assist countries in adjusting to difficult economic environments, particularly focusing on crisis response and reform. So 1983 for SAP.
SF 85, ESF 87, SAP 83, good dates to pin down. Does the bank do other things besides lending?
Oh yes, quite a range of activities support its mission. 1. Training. Back in 1956, the bank set up the Economic Development Institute, EDI. Its purpose is to provide specialized training to senior officials from member countries. EDI, 1956. 2. Technical assistance. It provides extensive technical help, covering both engineering support for projects and advice on building institutions and improving governance. 3. Interorganizational cooperation. It works closely with other international bodies. Formal agreements exist with the FAO, UNESCO, the WTO, formerly GATT, UNCTAD, and others, ensuring coordinated efforts. 4. Economic and social research. In 1983, the bank established a Research Policy Council, RSP, to guide and evaluate its extensive research activities, RSP 1983. 5. Operation evaluation. It has a dedicated Operations Evaluation Department, OED, to assess the effectiveness of past projects, promoting accountability and learning. 6. And settlement of investment disputes. We mentioned this earlier, but it established the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes, ICSID. Our sources gave examples like its role in the Indus River water dispute between India and Pakistan, and a dispute between Egypt and the UK, showing its function in resolving conflicts that could deter investment.
EDI 56, RSP 83, OED, ICUID. Lots of important parts. Now, the World Bank isn't just one institution, right? It's often called the World Bank Group. Our sources list 4 key affiliates. Let's briefly touch on what each does.
Exactly. These affiliates specialize in different areas, collectively forming a powerful force for global development. Each has its own specific focus and important details, dates, numbers, terms worth noting.
Okay, first affiliate.
First, the International Development Association, IDA. This crucial affiliate was set up in 1960 as a subsidiary of the World Bank. 1960 for ID.
And its specialty.
Its primary purpose is to provide soft loans, also known as IDA credits, to the world's poorest countries. Soft loans mean they have exceptionally low or even zero interest rates and very long repayment periods, highly concessional.
How do they decide who gets these soft loans?
IDA uses 3 key criteria: a poverty test, limiting aid to the poorest countries facing severe handicaps; a performance test requiring satisfactory economic policies and project execution; and a project test ensuring projects yield returns.
And its membership.
IDA's membership is divided into Part I members, the developed donor countries, 24 in number, sometimes called the G24 countries, and Part II members, the developing recipient countries. Remember, G24 relates to IDA donors?
24 Part 1 G24 countries.
Right.
And the loan terms are very specific, right?
Extremely specific and very favorable. Repayment is typically over 35-40 years. There's a grace period of 10 years before repayment starts. The interest rate is effectively 0 to 0.5%, and there's a small administrative fee or service charge of 0.75%. These numbers, 35-40 years, 10-year grace, near zero interest, 0.75% fee, really highlight how soft these loans are.
Incredible terms. Okay, second affiliate.
Second, the International Finance Corporation, IFC. This is the private sector arm of the World Bank Group, established in July 1956. IFC 1956.
Private sector arm, what does it do?
Its distinct role is to help finance private sector projects in developing countries. It invests directly in companies, helps mobilize additional finance for them in international markets, and provides crucial advisory services to businesses and governments to foster private sector growth.
So IFC works with companies, not just governments. How many members?
As of June 2003, our source notes, it had 175 members. That 175 number is a specific data point.
June 2003, 175 members. Third affiliate.
Third, the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, MEGA. Established more recently in April 1988. MEGA, 1988.
MEGA. Investment guarantee, what does it guarantee?
It plays a vital role in encouraging the flow of direct foreign investment into developing countries. It does this primarily by providing insurance guarantees against non-commercial or political risks.
Like what kind of risks?
Things like expropriation, government seizure of assets, war or civil disturbance, breach of contract by the government, or restrictions on transferring currency out of the country. It also offers promotional and advisory services to attract investors.
Reducing political risk for investors. Any specific membership details?
Yes, our sources note that India became its 113th member country on April 13, 1992, and by June 30, 2003, 162 countries had signed the MEGA Convention, with 136 becoming full members. Those numbers, 113th for India, April 92, 162 signed, 136 full members by June 03 are very specific.
Very specific indeed. And the fourth affiliate.
Fourth is the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes, ICSID, which we mentioned before. It was established back in 1956, ICSID in 1956,
And its role again?
to help encourage foreign investment by providing neutral international facilities for conciliation and arbitration of investment disputes between states and foreign investors. It fosters confidence by providing a reliable mechanism to resolve disagreements.
So the World Bank Group is IBRD, the main bank, IDA, soft loans, IFC, private sector, MIGA investment insurance, and ICSID, dispute settlement. That's the whole family.
That's the core family, yes, each playing a distinct but complementary role in global development and finance.
Finally, to truly understand why international business unfolds the way it does, to get that deeper aha moment that connects all the pieces, we need to look at the foundational theories, the ideas economists and thinkers have developed over centuries.
Exactly. These intellectual frameworks provide the essential why behind the global dance we've been exploring. They help us make sense of trade patterns, competitive advantages, even government policies.
They give us the logic behind the actions. Let's start at the beginning. What's the oldest theory our sources mention?
We begin with mercantilism. This was a prominent economic theory, really dominant from around 1630. It's most notably associated with the English merchant and economic writer Thomas Munn.
Mercantilism, 1630s, Thomas Munn. What was the core idea?
The core idea was for a country to relentlessly increase its national wealth and power by maximizing exports and aggressively minimizing imports. It was all about accumulating gold and silver.
Export good, import bad.
That's the gist. Munn famously captured this sentiment, writing, "To increase our wealth, sell more to strangers yearly than we consume of theirs in value." It was a zero-sum view of trade. One country's gain was another's loss.
Okay, mercantilism. Who challenged that?
The big challenge came from Adam Smith with his theory of absolute advantage, put forth in 1776 in his hugely influential book, The Wealth of Nations.
Adam Smith, 1776, absolute advantage. What did he argue?
Smith argued that a country has an absolute advantage in producing a product when it is simply more efficient, meaning it can produce more of it with the same amount of resources, like labor, than any other country.
So if Scotland is better at making wool and France is better at making wine.
Exactly. Smith theorized that if countries specialize in producing goods where they have an absolute advantage and then freely trade with each other, both countries will end up with more of both goods available. It's a win-win through specialization and trade.
A much more positive view than mercantilism.
Okay.
Absolute advantage, what comes next?
Following Smith, we get refinements. The Heckscher-Ohlin theory builds on these ideas by looking not just at efficiency, but at a country's factor endowments.
Factor endowments, like what?
Things like land, labor, and capital. The theory predicts that nations will tend to export goods that make intensive use of the factors they have in abundance domestically.
So, a country with lots of labor exports, labor-intensive goods.
That's the prediction. And conversely, they'll import goods that require factors that are scarce at home.
Seems logical. But this was a twist, right? The Leontief paradox.
Exactly. This theory notably led to the famous Leontief paradox in 1953. The economist Wassily Leontief tested the theory using U.S. data.
1953, Leontief paradox. What did he expect?
He theorized that since the U.S. clearly had abundant capital compared to other nations at the time, it should primarily export capital-intensive goods and import labor-intensive goods.
And what did he find?
His surprising findings showed the opposite. The U.S. was actually importing capital-intensive goods and exporting labor-intensive goods. This paradox challenged the simple predictions of the Heckscher-Ohlin model.
Huh. Interesting puzzle. Maybe we should quickly define those terms. Labor-intensive versus capital-intensive.
Good idea. Labor-intensive goods are products requiring a large amount of human labor in their production. Think hand-woven textiles, handmade crafts, some agricultural work. Capital-intensive goods rely heavily on machinery, technology, and significant financial investment. Things like oil refining, computer chip manufacturing, large-scale automated agriculture. These distinctions are crucial.
Got it. So after that paradox, what theories tried to explain trade patterns, especially how they change over time?
Our fourth theory is the product life cycle theory, developed in the 1960s by Raymond Vernon.
1960s Raymond Vernon, product life cycle. What's the cycle?
This theory attempts to explain global trade by tracing the typical life cycle of a product. It suggests new products are often first introduced and experience growing demand in developed countries, particularly the U.S. historically.
So innovation happens here first.
Often, yes, according to the theory. Initially, the innovating country, like the U.S., would export these new products. But as the product matures, its production becomes more standardized, and other developed nations and eventually developing nations start producing it themselves.
And that impacts the original innovator.
Exactly. It limits the original country's exports, and they might even become an importer of the product later in its life cycle as production shifts to lower-cost locations. It shows how trade patterns evolve dynamically with the product itself.
Makes sense. Products aren't static. What's fifth?
Fifth, we have the new trade theory, NTT, which emerged as a collection of economic models developed mainly in the 1970s.
1970s new trade theory. What's new about it?
NTT provides explanations for trade patterns, especially between similar developed countries, often focusing on factors like increasing returns to scale, where costs per unit fall as output grows, and network effects. It helps explain why certain industries cluster in specific locations.
And does it have policy implications?
It does. It offers a rationale for industrial policy, suggesting governments might have a role in strategically nurturing certain domestic industries to achieve global scale and competitiveness. However, it also comes with a caution against excessive government intervention, as governments might lack perfect information and could end up backing losers or creating distortions.
A potential role for government, but with risks.
Okay. And finally, a very influential modern framework, National Competitive Advantage, or Porter's Diamond.
Yes, developed by Michael Porter. Porter's diamond theory is incredibly impactful for understanding why specific industries within particular countries achieve sustained success globally.
Michael Porter, how does the diamond work? It moves beyond just simple factor costs. It's visually represented by a diamond diagram, illustrating four interrelated determinants that Porter argues are the deciding factors for national competitive advantage in specific industries.
Four determinants, what are they?
First, firm strategy, structure, and rivalry. This looks at how companies within a nation are created, organized, managed, and crucially, the nature of domestic rivalry. Intense competition at home can push firms to innovate and become stronger globally.
Domestic rivalry helps international success. Makes sense.
Second, related and supporting industries. The presence or absence of internationally competitive supplier industries and other related industries within a nation can significantly impact a core industry's competitiveness. Think clusters, like Silicon Valley for tech.
The ecosystem matters.
Third are demand conditions. This refers to the nature of demand within the home market for the industry's product or service. Sophisticated and demanding local customers can push companies to innovate faster and produce higher quality, anticipating global trends.
Demanding home customers drive innovation. And the fourth point of the diamond.
Fourth, factor conditions. While basic factors like land and labor matter, Porter emphasizes advanced factors. These include things like a highly educated workforce, specialized research institutions, advanced infrastructure like communication networks. These advanced, often created factors are crucial for high-value competitive advantage today.
Advanced factors are key. Where did Porter publish this?
This comprehensive framework was originally published by Porter in the Harvard Business Review in an article titled The Competitive Advantage of Nations. Remembering those four determinants, firm, strategy, rivalry, related supporting industries, demand conditions, factor conditions, gives a powerful way to analyze why certain nations excel in certain industries.
It's a much richer picture than just comparing labor costs.
Absolutely. It looks at the whole national environment that fosters competitiveness. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow, what an incredible journey we've taken today. We've navigated from the fundamental definition and those 8 key features of international business all the way to its compelling benefits and inevitable challenges.
Quite a sweep.
We explored the 8 distinct strategic forms companies use to go global, from simple exporting to deep DFI, and then dove deep into the powerful governing bodies, the WTO, UNCTAD, the IMF, the entire World Bank Group, including IDA, IFC, MIGA, ICSES.
All those acronyms.
So many important ones. We unpacked critical agreements like TRIPS, the role of ICAs for commodities, and we rounded it all out by examining those foundational theories: mercantilism, absolute advantage, Heckscher-Ohlin and the Leontief paradox, product life cycle, new trade theory, and Porter's diamond.
A real tour through the landscape.
We've truly covered a remarkable number of specific foundational facts, dates like 1948, 1964, 1995, numbers like the 23 key AT signatories of the 7 TRIPS categories, full forms like NAMA, MFN, GSP, EDI, and crucial distinctions like GTT versus WTO or licensing versus franchising. Hopefully you feel solidly equipped now.
You now possess, I think, a robust understanding. not just of what happens in international business, but crucially, why it happens, and who the key players are, the institutions and the theories behind them. Understanding these interconnected elements gives you a powerful framework, really, for interpreting global economic news, making sense of trade disputes, and truly recognizing the profound global forces that shape the world around you every single day.
Absolutely. It's a complex, ever-evolving landscape that never stands still. Which leads to a final thought.
Go on.
Considering the inherently sensitive nature of international business, as we discussed, and the constant accelerating evolution of technology, think about the rise of AI, advanced automation, maybe shifting supply chains, and increasingly complex global challenges like climate change or future pandemics. How might these powerful new forces reshape these established theories and organizations we've discussed today?
That's a huge question.
It is. How might they look different, not just next year, but say in the next decade? It's definitely something to ponder as you continue to explore and apply your newfound knowledge from this deep dive.
A very pertinent question for the future.
Thank you so much for joining us on the deep dive. We hope you feel thoroughly equipped and inspired to continue exploring the fascinating, ever-changing world of international business.
We look forward to our next deep dive with you.